into effect on the 11th of April this year. The Natural Resources Benefit Sharing Bill, Bill number 6 of the year 2022, is a bill by Senator Danson Mungatana that senators will be resuming debate on. Equally, senators will be resuming debate that was interrupted on Tuesday, the 21st of March. And this particular debate is on a bill by Senator for Homa Bay County, Senator Moses Kajwang. And this particular debate is on the County Vocational Education and Training Bill. The Senate will equally be debating a bill on the Agricultural and Livestock Extension Services. This is a bill by nominated Senator Maureen Tabitha Mutinda. The House will equally be considering the Konza Technopolis Bill, Bill number 2 of the year 2023, by Senator Gloria Orobam. The Prompt Payment Bill, Bill number 8 of the year 2022, is a bill by Senator Mariam Sheikh Omar that will be considered by the Senate this afternoon. Thereafter, the House will move into the Committee of the Whole, where senators will be considering the Parliamentary Powers and Privileges Amendment Bill, this being number 5 of the year 2022 by Senator Danson Mungatana. Senator for Nandi County, Senator Samson Cherargei, will be moving a motion on the doping menace threatening Kenyans' impeccable global reputation in matters athletics. And in this particular motion, the Senator seeks to have the Senate resolve that the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Matters Arts do come up with modalities that can help achieve increased testing, intelligence gathering, and this is on athletes, as well as doping awareness program creation. The Senator is also seeking to have that in collaboration with Athletics Kenya and the National Olympics Committee, popularly known as NOC, the two do vet all training camps, coaches and trainers, as well as other athletes handlers. And also the Senate seeks to have the Senate resolve to have the Ministry of Youth initiate investigations into Anti-Doping Agency Kenya ADAC to identify as well as sanction all responsible officers liable for the menace of doping. The business of the Senate is just about to commence right now. The Mace, as well as the Speaker of the Senate, Honorable Emerson Kingi, are in the chamber this afternoon. I now hand you over so we can follow up on what is coming out from the chamber. Enjoy your viewing.
Let us pray. Almighty God, we beseech you to behold with your abundant favor and blessings us, your servants, whom you have been pleased to call to leadership positions in this republic. We seek guidance to treat and consider all matters that shall come under deliberations in so just and faithful a manner as to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of our country and of those whose interests you have committed to our charge. Amen. Clerk, do we have a quorum? Sergeant at Arms, kindly ring the bell for 5 minutes.
The quorum bell at the Senate is on owing to the directives by the Speaker that Sergeant at Arms during the quorum bell to allow senators make their way into the chamber this afternoon. And this particular directive is pursuant to the standing orders of the House that guides the Speaker when there is no requisite quorum to commence business. A look at the order paper this afternoon, we have a couple of motions. And just to name a few is the provision of free sanitary towels to end period poverty by Senator Gloria Orobam. And this particular motion seeks to facilitate provision of feminine hygiene products to all public schools, as well as ensure that all schools that do not have bathrooms that facilitate privacy, cleanliness, as well as proper disposal of hygiene products are properly equipped. This particular motion also seeks to ensure that sanitary products will be obtainable in a timely manner, consistently, and in a way that respects the dignity of the concerned persons. This is a motion before Senate that senators have already commenced debate on, and they will be resuming debate on this particular motion with a balance of 2 hours and 40 minutes. The compensation of Kenyans victims in the 1998 bombing of the United States Embassy in Nairobi is a motion by Senator for Machakos County, Senator Agnes Kavindu Mudhama, that is lined up for debate by senators this afternoon. The Senate Majority Leader will pass on to Standing Orders 57, subsection 1, be issuing a statement on the business of the Senate for the week commencing the 28th of March, the year being 2023. Senators will be seeking statements from various standing committees of the House, and this is passed on to Standing Orders of the House, Standing Orders number 53, subsection 1. The very first statement given priority is a statement by nominated Senator Tabitha Mutinda, who will be seeking a statement from the Standing Committee on Matters Education concerning the credibility of courses offered by or to the Kenyan immigrant workers by the National Industrial Training Institution Authority, NITA. The Senator for Nyeri County, Senator Wahome Wamatinga, will also be seeking a statement from the Standing Committee on Matters Land, Environment and Natural Resources concerning the alleged irregularities in the land acquisition for dam construction projects. A total of 38 reports by various committees of the House will be tabled this afternoon before the floor of the House. And these particular reports are majorly audit reports from the Office of the Auditor General on how various departments as well as state corporations used the funds allocated to them. Equally, the Speaker of the Senate will be conveying a message from the National Assembly on the passage of the Division of Revenue Bill, this being Bill number 9 of the year 2023. The ban on the cultivation of eucalyptus trees on riparian lands is a motion by Senator for Kirinyaga County, Senator James Murango. And in this particular motion that senators have started considering, the senator will be seeking to have the Senate urge the Ministry of Environment, Climate Change and Forestry, in coordination with the National Environment Authority, to develop as well as implement a policy framework to guide the cultivation of eucalyptus trees with the aim of mitigating their adverse effects on the environment, as well as undertake a systematic national-wide removal program for eucalyptus trees cultivations on riparian lands. Senator Tabitha Mutinda will be moving a motion on the report of the 61st session of the Organization of African as well as Caribbean and Pacific States, and this is Parliamentary Assembly and 42nd of the Joint Parliamentary Assembly held in Maputo, Mozambique. The Senate has raised the requisite quorum to commence business. I now hand you over so you can follow up on the proceedings of the House. Enjoy your viewing.
Order number 2, communication from the Chair. Order number 3, messages.
Honorable Senators, I wish to report to the Senate that pursuant to Standing Order 46.3 and 4, I have received the following message from the Speaker of the National Assembly regarding the passage by the National Assembly of the Division of Revenue Bill, National Assembly Bills number 9 of 2023. Pursuant to the provisions of Standing Orders 41 and 142 of the National Assembly Standing Orders, I hereby convey the following message from the National Assembly. Whereas the Division of Revenue Bill, National Assembly Bills number 9 of 2023 was published via Kenya Gazette Supplement number 32 of 20th March 2023 to provide for the equitable division of revenue raised nationally among the national government and county levels of government for the 2023-2024 financial year as required by Article 218 of the Constitution. And whereas the National Assembly considered the said bill and passed it on Tuesday, 21st March 2023 without amendments in the form attached hereto, now therefore, in accordance with the provisions of Article 110(4) of the Constitution and Standing Orders 41 and 142 of the National Assembly Standing Orders, I hereby refer the bill to the Senate for consideration. Honorable Senators, pursuant to Standing Order number 163, which requires that a bill which originates in the National Assembly be proceeded with by the Senate in the same manner as a bill introduced in the Senate by way of first reading in accordance with Standing Order number 144, the Division of Revenue Bill, National Assembly Bills number 9 of 2023 is listed in today's order paper, and at the appropriate time, I shall call upon the clerk to read the said bill a first time. I thank you, Honorable Senators. Next order.
Order number 4, petitions.
The Honorable Chirange. That will be deferred. Next order.
Order number 5, papers.
The Majority Leader, please.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the Senate today, Thursday, the 23rd of March, 2023. 1. Performance Audit Report of the Auditor General on implementation of the Kenya Town Sustainable Water Supply and Sanitation Program. 2. Report of the Auditor General on the financial statement of the County Assembly of Meru Staff Car Loan and Housing Scheme Fund for the year ended 30th June 2020. 3. Report of the Auditor General on the financial statement of the County Executive of Isiolo for the year ended 30th June 2022. 4. Report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of the County Assembly of Isiolo for the year ended 30th June 2022. 5. Report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of the County Executive of Uasin Gishu for the year ended 30th June 2022. Report of the Auditor General. 6. Report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of the County Assembly of Uasin Gishu for the year ended 30th June 2022. Report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of the Municipality of Muranga for the year ended 30th June 2022. 8. Report of the Auditor General on the financial statement of the Kahuti Water and Sanitation Company Limited for the year ended 30th June 2022. 9th. Report of the Auditor General for the financial statement of the Fort Beverages Industries Company Limited for the year ended 30th June 2022. 10th. Report of the Auditor General of the financial statement of the Gatamathi Water and Sanitation Company Limited for the year ended 30th June 2022. 11. Report of Auditor General on the financial statement of the Murang'a South Water and Sanitation Company for the year ended 30th June 2022. 12. Report of the Auditor General on the financial statement of the Kwale Members and Staff Loan Scheme Fund for the year ended 30th June 2022. Report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of the Kwale County Emergency Fund for the year ended 30th June 2022. Report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of the Kwale County Youth, Women and Persons with Disability Revolving Fund for the year ended 30th June 2022. Report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of the Kwale County Bursary Fund for the year ended 30th June 2022. 19. Report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of the Kwale County Trade Revolving Fund for the year ended 30th June 2022. 17th. Report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of the Kwale Municipality for the year ended 30th June 2022. Report of the Auditor General of the financial statement of the County Executive of Marsabit for the year ended 30th June 2022. 19th. Report of the Auditor General on the financial statement of the County Assembly of Marsabit for the year ended 30th June 2022. 20th. Report of the Auditor General on the financial statement of the Marsabit County Assembly Car Loan and Mortgage Scheme Fund for the year ended 30th June 2022. 21. Report of the Auditor General on the financial statement of the County Government of Marsabit Mortgage Fund for the year ended 30th June 2022. Report of the Auditor General on the financial statement of the County Government of Marsabit County Revenue Fund for the year ended 30th June 2022. 23. Report of the Auditor General on the financial statement of the County Government of Marsabit Car Loan Fund for the year ended 30th June 2022. 24th. Report of the Auditor General on the financial statement of the Marsabit County Education Fund for the year ended 30th June 2022. 25th. Report of the Auditor General on the financial statement of the Marsabit County Emergency Fund for the year ended 30th June 2022. 26th. Report of the Auditor General on the financial statement of the Nyandarua County Emergency Fund for the year ended 30th June 2022. 27th. Report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of the Olkalau Water and Sanitation Company for the year ended 30th June 2022. 28th. Report of the Auditor General on the financial statement of the Nyandarua County Civil Servants Car Loan and Mortgage Scheme for the Mortgage Scheme Fund for the year ended 30th June 2022. 29th. Report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of the County Executive of Laikipia for the year ended 30th June 2022. 30th. Report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of the County Assembly of Laikipia for the year ended 30th June 2022. 31st. Report of the Auditor General on the financial statement of the Laikipia County Development Authority for the year ended 30th June 2022. 32. Report of the Auditor General on the financial statement for the Laikipia County Assembly Cooperative Development Fund for the year ended 30th June 2022. 33. Report of the Auditor General on the financial statement for the Othaya Mukurweini Water Services Company Limited for the year ended 30th June 2022. 34th. Report of the Auditor General on the financial statement of the Narumoru Water and Sanitation Company for the year ended 30th June 2022. 35. Report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of the County Executive of Samburu for the year ended 30th June 2022. 36th. Report of the Auditor General on the financial statement of the County Assembly of Samburu for the year ended 30th June 2022. Last but not least, report of the Auditor General of the financial statement of the Samburu County Community Conservancies Fund for the year ended 30th June 2022. Mr. Speaker, I beg to lay.
The chairperson, JLAC. Or a member of the committee can proceed to lay the paper.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I beg to lay the following paper on the table of the Senate today, being Thursday, 23rd March 2023, a report of the Standing Committee on Justice, Legal Affairs and Human Rights on its consideration of the preservation of human dignity and enforcement of economic and social rights bill, Senate Bill number 7 of 2022. Thank you.
Next order, clerk.
Order number 5, order number 6, notices of motion. Order number 7, statements.
The Honorable Senator Tabitha Mutinda.
Sorry, I will do that on her behalf, Mr. Speaker. This is a statement on credibility of a cause offered to Kenyan immigrant workers by the National Industrial Training Authority, NITA. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53.1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Education on the credibility of a cause offered to Kenyan immigrant workers by the National Industrial Training Authority. In the statement, the committee should state whether the curriculum offered by NITA to Kenyan immigrants working in the Middle East is recognized by the Ministry of Education. 2, state the cost and duration of the course. And the last, list all colleagues or all colleges or institutions that NITA has accredited to offer the same curriculum and state the standards required of such institutions. This is a statement by Senator Tabitha Mutinda. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Osotsi, I see you on the dashboard.
For my statement?
Not for your statement.
Yes.
If it's for your, no, not for your statement. If it's for your statement, you don't need to log on the dashboard. I'll call you. Because I followed the sequence just given in the order paper.
Okay.
But if you want to, absolutely. Proceed, Senator.
Mr. Speaker, I think we must thank Senator Mutinda for this statement because training of immigrants is very important. Mr. Speaker, we have had a lot of problems with the Kenyans who travel to Saudi Arabia and Middle East looking for opportunities. Some of them have died in mysterious circumstances. Others have been arrested, locked in. So we have had so many problems, and I'm sure in this House we have had so many statements relating to the issue of immigrants who have gone to Middle East. So, and one of the reasons why they get into trouble, Mr. Speaker, is the training. The training that is offered to these people is inadequate, and sometimes there is no training at all, Mr. Speaker. They just process papers, and then they put them on a flight, and there they are. They start working. So this is a very important statement, and I want to ask the relevant committee, which is the Committee of Labor, to give it a lot of focus and a lot of consideration so that the licensed institutions that conduct these processes, the agencies, together with the National Industrial Training Authority, they need to stick to the regulations, especially on matters to do with the training. So, Mr. Speaker, I support this statement, and I would want to recommend that this statement be given priority and possibly a report presented to this House for our consideration, because the matter of Kenyans suffering and dying in Middle East is a serious challenge that affects many Kenyans, and I'm sure members in this house have had to deal with this problem before. So, Mr. Speaker, I support.
Senator Cheriot.
Mr. Speaker, a few months ago, you chaired a meeting when we had training for Senate leadership together with, I think, chairpersons of committees in the UAE. And we took time to listen to Kenyans who work there, who presented us with very concrete proposals on what they think as a country we can do to take advantage of a labor market that exists in that region. And bearing in mind, Mr. Speaker, that because of language and our education system, we are perhaps the most competitive country on the continent, and we compete with the very best on the globe, Mr. Speaker, including countries like Philippines, which supply labor to the Middle East in the millions. But they pointed out to us a key ingredient that separates us and those that are able to send citizens to go and work in these countries as being this training that Senator Tabitha wants us to request NITA to infuse into our curriculum so that the many young men and women that go to work in the Middle East can have sufficient competence that also at a multilateral level, Mr. Speaker, we are able to enter into the necessary arrangements that will open up the job market for our young people, not just the manual jobs that many people are used to, but including skilled labor as well. And you remember that when you engage those Kenyans, they challenge us as the leaders in the country. And I'm glad that Senator Tabitha has remembered actually to follow through on the promise that we gave those Kenyans living in Dubai, that we shall ensure that we push NITA to introduce these exit courses. Many of them are not even to do with technical details, but just basic fine etiquette, cultural challenges that they'll face when they get to that part of the country, their rights, and very basic things which, for lack of which, Mr. Speaker, on many occasions, many Kenyans end up falling afoul of the law and are locked up or lose job opportunities. But even on the more serious front, Mr. Speaker, we cannot access some of the jobs that are available because Kenya has not signed the necessary bilaterals with this country because of this specific training, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, once you commit this to the committee, the relevant departmental committee to handle it, it is my sincere wish, Mr. Speaker, that they will expedite this and NITA will come and give a commitment before this House so that we know in the next few months if there are amendments that they want us to do that will enforce and ensure that before Kenyans leave the country, they have undergone this training and that we can go back each time because we see the President visiting different parts of the world. And this is something that we can brandish and show them that our workers are actually fully prepared for the labor market in any part of the world, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, it is my most sincere hope that the departmental committee that you will refer this matter to will demand of NITA that we complete on this exercise so that Ministry of Foreign Affairs can move ahead and do that which is necessary so that ordinary Kenyans can access job opportunities that are available, and the only missing ingredient actually is what Senator Tabitha is reminding us of. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Ombo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me an opportunity to also input into this statement by Senator Tabitha. Speaker, a few minutes ago when I walked into the chamber, my colleague, Senator Sifuna, was very worried that I'm wearing green. He thought I am joining Ford Kenya. But I gave him the assurance that I'm in green today as an outward manifestation of the peace that we stand for in this house and outside the house. Speaker, this statement by Senator Tabitha may sound a simple statement, but my thinking, Mr. Speaker, is that this should actually be the genesis of coming up with a legislation to not only safeguard the labor rights of our children and citizens working outside the country, but also to properly equip them as they go to take up jobs in other countries. Mr. Speaker, we must all appreciate that Kenya has become a major source market for cheap and semi-skilled labor, especially in the Emirates, in Saudi Arabia, and in the EU and the USA for semi-skilled labor, especially in home care services. The Speaker, the hundreds of thousands of young people that fly through JKIA to take up jobs outside the country is reason good enough for the National Industrial Training Authority to take the training of these immigrant workers a lot more seriously and train them, Mr. Speaker, even on some very basic things, like basic accounting, to know when it is that they are supposed to, once they get their paycheck, when they are supposed to exchange their money and when to hold and wait until the rates are better in the market for them to do the exchanges, for them to know their rights as workers outside this country, for them, Mr. Speaker, to also be able to contribute to the national economy back home while they work outside the country. Mr. Speaker, this training will be very, very necessary, and not just for the workers, but equally important for staff working in recruitment agencies in this country, so that as they prepare these workers, then they are properly equipped. Mr. Speaker, in conclusion, it should be appreciated by all of us that for us, the export of cheap and semi-skilled labor in the areas in the countries where we export, for us, it is business as a country. And it's business that must bring returns both to the workers and to the economy of this country. Mr. Speaker, I support.
Senator Mungatana.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to associate myself with the comments of the honorable senators who have spoken before me. But, Mr. Speaker, there is an important key word that is missing in all the submissions. It is not general training, it is credibility of these trainings, Mr. Speaker, that this education committee must seek out. Why? Because, Mr. Speaker, from my experience in the courts, the agents who take our children, they don't give them the real requirements that are necessary for their successful execution of the duties that they are going to undertake in the foreign countries. Mr. Speaker, this statement, and I hope the Committee of Education captures the real thing, they must investigate the credibility of those certificates that are awarded here. The certificates, are they credible? Mr. Speaker, I am inviting the committee to ask information from the NIS and NSIS from the DCI. And Mr. Speaker, why? Because there was a scandal, a big scandal, Mr. Speaker, that our children are given certificates through these agents. And when they go there, when these people call, they discover that, in fact, this particular person who is being employed never went through that course. They have no idea. Mr. Speaker, it is really tarnishing the image of our country as a great supplier of trained labor. So, Mr. Speaker, I am asking the Committee of Education to really go deep. They must get private information on what has been happening. I am aware, Mr. Speaker, that that scandal involved some people within that institution being arrested and prosecuted. And I'm sure the Honorable Senator Tabitha must have heard this, because this happened here in Nairobi. So, Mr. Speaker, I am asking these people to go deep into it, not just to talk, to look at general standards and what. We must know electronic databases. If you say you are taking plumbers, we must have a proper database, proper qualification. When did this person go in? When did he come out? What were the grades? How long was the training? So that those, because electronics in most cases, they don't lie. They are less prone to human error. So, Mr. Speaker, I am praying that, like other senators have said, a proper report be brought here so that we can look at it, and possibly legislation to be fashioned in such a way that we guard the dignity of the kind of labor force, the quality of labor force that Kenya is known for abroad. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Senators, we spent considerable time on this particular statement. We will move to the next. Senator Wamatinga Wahome. Senator Ledama, under Standing Order 51, we are only given under 1 hour to prosecute all the statements. If we spend more time on just one, we may not make any headway. Senator Wamatinga, proceed, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I also rise to support this statement.
Senator Wamatinga.
Yes.
That has been closed.
Sorry, Mr. Speaker, sir. I'm guided. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Yes, I do have a time, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise to request on a statement on the acquisition of land in areas earmarked for national projects and disposing of exorbitant prices to the government. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53.1 to seek statement from the Standing Committee on RAD and Natural Resources on irregularities in land acquisition for dam construction projects. In the statement, the committee should, 1, provide the list and particulars of parcels of land acquired by the National Land Commission for the purpose of the dam construction project since 2020. States the amount paid for them as compensation to the respective owners and indicating the market value of those parcels. 2, investigate and table the findings on the report of corruption and conspiracy between individuals, companies, and officials of the Ministry of Lands and Housing and Urban Development and the National Land Commission (NLC) to acquire land in anticipation of projects and dispose them to the government at exorbitant prices for these projects, thereby occasioning loss of money by the taxpayer. 3, state the action to be taken against those involved, including measures to surcharge them for the loss of the government, and 4, state measures being taken to promote awareness to committees whose land has been marked for the government projects from disposing their land to conspicuous and speculative and land speculators. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Ledama.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to support the statement by the distinguished senator from from Meru. Nyeri. Mr. Speaker, from the chair of energy, let me put it that way. This is a very important statement. It's a very important statement because so often we violate Article 68, C2 of the Constitution, which is supposed to regulate on how land moves from one use to another. And so often, Mr. Speaker, you'll find that even when land is acquired to be used for government projects, that land, the land use policy is never adhered to. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, I'd like to request the committee that you will task that report to do an analysis of all the land that has been acquired and whether the land use policy and whether Article 68 C2 of the Constitution was complied with. That is issue number one. Number two, Mr. Speaker, lest we forget that in most cases, all the scandals we get in this country relates to the land that is acquired for government projects. If history serves me right, Mr. Speaker, when land was being acquired along Milolongo and the landowners were paid money so that they make way for the expressway, and also when land was being acquired to be able to create that link, the link road to Runda, or rather to Gashie, and even this one for Kilimani, people were hiding documents and going to courts to be able to seek for more money. And you will find that a lot of people who work in the lands department were being complicit. So, Mr. Speaker, it will be important that the lands committee go to a greater extent in trying to identify what parcels of land have already been, earmarked to be used for land projects, for government projects. Because this business where people, when they know that the government is going to be doing a huge dump, they sell the land at exorbitant prices, it is really costing Kenyans and taxpayers a lot of money. So, Mr. Speaker, this statement is very, very important. And I hope that those issues that I've raised here can be included in that statement so that we can actually be able, on an every year basis, we can be able to know how much money is the Ministry of Land going to use to be able to acquire land for government projects. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Cheptumo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I also arise to support the statement by the Senator Nyeri. Mr. Speaker, construction of dams in our country helps to avail water to our citizens. But a lot of these dams, Mr. Speaker, have actually been frustrated because of a number of factors. In my practice of law, Mr. Speaker, I have had cases where there is conflict between the citizens and the government because of compensation. So that, Mr. Speaker, there is no public participation between the relevant ministry and the public. Because, Mr. Speaker, you talk of a situation where people have to surrender their portions of land for the dams to be done. And for them to surrender their pieces of land, they should be compensated. So the process of compensation is another issue which I want this committee to look into. So that, Mr. Speaker, the value for the land should be given to the owners of the land in terms of the real value. Sometimes there is undervalue. And sometimes, Mr. Speaker, there is overvaluing of the land. So that a piece of land that's supposed to be 1 million per acre can actually even go for 3 million per acre because of certain considerations and certain understandings between officials of Ministry of Lands and the Ministry of Roads and so on. So that is another area which I want the committee to look into, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, if you go to the National Land Commission today and you look at the pending bills on unpaid claims where certificates have been issued by the Commission, it is in billions, Mr. Speaker. And one wonders why, because once a government has decided to either build a road or a dam, they allocate the money for that particular purpose. Money for the dam itself to be constructed and money for compensation. So, Mr. Speaker, you wonder then how come we have huge bills in terms of unpaid bills in the National Land Commission, and the owners of that pieces of land are subjected to a lot of suffering, and they are told to go to Treasury and look for the pending bills to be paid. So it is another area, Mr. Speaker, I want the committee, and I'm a member of this committee and my chair is here, we need to interrogate also that issue. How come money set aside for either compensation or for the dams end up not being available to the owners of these pieces of land? So, Mr. Speaker, it's a very important statement, and I want to agree that this House should be able to rise up through the committee and ensure that citizens who have suffered because of non-payment of the money for compensation or for their pieces of land should be able to be compensated accordingly. I support, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Muma.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to support and to contribute to that statement. Mr. Speaker, I think beyond the issue of speculation on land for infrastructure development, I think that committee needs to look at the issue of social risk management in infrastructure development in Kenya. Mr. Speaker, beyond just the compensation of land, we have had a lot of community and government conflict over a number of projects that have had to be stopped because communities rose and objected to those projects proceeding for one reason or other. And as Senior Cheptumo says, this goes to the issue of public participation. Oftentimes, we have had no public participation where a location is identified for development and the communities are not consulted, and we end up with a conflict. Maybe the piece of land that is being picked is even sentimental, has cultural value, has religious value, and we have not taken this issue seriously. Mr. Speaker, beyond this, I am recommending that that committee looks at the issues of social risk management in infrastructure development in Kenya so that we can develop a policy that can guide on reasonable compensation as well as looking at other social risks to development projects. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Next statement, Senator James Morango.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I have two statements. Mr. Speaker, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53.1 to seek assessment from the Standing Committee on National Security and Foreign Relations regarding establishment of more police stations, police posts, and police patrol bases in Kirinyaga County. In the statement, the committee should, one, list the electoral wards, administrative locations and administrative sub-locations without a police station or a police post or even police patrol bases in Kirinyaga County. Two, state the stopgap measures in place to ensure that security in the affected areas is enhanced, and 3, explain what measures are in place to establish police stations, police posts, and patrol bases in those areas. My second statement, Mr. Speaker, I rise in pursuant to Standing Order 53.1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Roads and Transportation regarding the status of the project to upgrade Kutus, Kembembe, Kanjinji, PI Road in Kirinyaga County to bitumen standard. In the statement, the committee should, 1, provide an update on the status of construction of the road, which is crucial to the economy of Kirinyaga County and whose construction started in 2022 but has since stalled. 2, provide details of the total contract sum for the project and state the cost implication occasioned by the delay in its completion. 3, indicate when the contractor will resume works on the stone project and also state the expected date of completion. And 4, state the measures that the contractor will put in place to reduce dust emissions, which has become a health hazard to the residents. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Siango.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to support the statement by Senator James Murango of Kirinyaga County. Looking at the establishment of police stations, police posts, and patrol bases, not only in Kirinyaga County, as he has indicated, but also in other counties. Sometimes I wonder, looking at the living conditions and the standards of the security personnel. Some of them live under very poor conditions. Yes, the stations are established, but they are not, the facilities there are lacking, and even the standards are very poor. Sometimes we have been crying, Mr. Speaker, of the corruption of our police people. But they are subjected to some situations where then, for them to survive and to live, they would even request for very little to get in exchange of service. Mr. Speaker, sir, establishment of these posts and patrol bases is very necessary because Kenyans need security. And it is important that even the ratio of policemen to the civilian or to the people should be improved so that security is also improved. Mr. Speaker, sir, I also wonder on the budgetary allocation to the security personnel where these security people are living, the policemen and women who are serving in this nation. I think it is important to be considered that this is increased so that they live in a honorable situation or manner, Kenyans with a lot of dignity and with commitment to their work. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Senator Kisang.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I rise to support the statement by the Senator in terms of increasing the number of police stations and police posts and patrols. Honorable Speaker, you know, when you increase the numbers of police stations, it means you're increasing the number of police officers in areas. I think we can propose that every sub-location should have either a police station or a police post to enhance security in those areas. And it's not only in Kirinyaga County alone, Honorable Speaker, also other areas, especially where it is prone to banditry and insecurity like along Keria Valley. I know some communities across the country, Honorable Speaker, they have put up police stations, police posts, patrols, using their own resources or using CDF or county funds, but majority of them, especially in North Rift, have not been gazetted. The National Police Service have not even posted police officers that would have assisted in enhancing security in those areas. Honorable Speaker, this is very important. It's good to know that the Constitution ensures that the government ensures the lives of the people and its property or their property are secured and protected. I asked for a statement about 5 weeks ago about statement of police stations in Elgeyo-Marakwet County and beginning of operation in that region. Up to now, Honorable Speaker, 6 or so weeks down the line, I have not received a feedback for that statement. That's why it is important that the amendments that we are discussing yesterday are passed today, so that the CSS come to the House and we put them to task and ask additional supplementary questions, like instead of asking so many statements and they go unanswered. Honorable Speaker, I support the statement by the Senator from Kirinyaga County.
Senator Beatrice Akinyi.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the chance to contribute to the noble statement that has been brought to the floor by the Honorable Senator for Kirinyaga County, Senator James Murango. Honorable Speaker, as we talk about the establishment of more police stations, more police posts and police patrol bases in Kirinyaga County, it is only important that the committee considers equity across the county, because the noble services that the police provide for Kenyans is needed across our country. But Honorable Speaker, as we establish this police post, let us also think about the welfare of the police officers. Let us also think about the salaries of police officers. Mr. Speaker, sir, there has been a challenge with the police salaries, especially regarding police officers that have gone on for further studies. Mr. Speaker, the world over, we encourage our young people to go for further studies. But in other disciplines, Honorable Speaker, you find that once the professionals have furthered their studies, their employers upgrade their salaries. But this has not been happening, Honorable Speaker, with the police force. We've had a lot of cry with police officers who have studied and gone and achieved university education. Honorable Speaker, people acquire education to enhance their performance, their skills, and their understanding of what work that they do. But we find a police force that once they struggle to go for further studies, then you come back to your station, you are neither upgraded, your salary is not upgraded. So, Honorable Speaker, it looks like we are not motivating our police or officers once they go for further studies. And Honorable Speaker, I come back to the welfare of the general police officer in terms of their housing. A few of them live in a bit of comfort. But Honorable Speaker, if you travel across this country, you'd go to tears because of the state of the housing of some of the police posts that we have. Honorable Speaker, you cannot expect an officer to give you security as they secure you, as they secure your businesses, as they secure your working places, then they go back to live in deplorable houses, Honorable Speaker. So, Honorable Speaker, as we address their housing, as we address the issue of establishing more posts, we must ensure, the government must ensure that the police officers are housed adequately, that they are also accorded the respect that other professions are accorded. Honorable Speaker, let me remind Kenyans of what we saw on Monday the 20th when we had the demos that were called by Azimio. The police have been in the middle of the conflict. I saw the pressers that were given by the KK, expectations that they had about the police officers. They had the expectation that the police officers should do particular things to the demonstrators. On our side, as Azimio, we also expected the police officers to protect the protesters, to protect the businesses of Kenyans. But here are police officers who are in the middle of a conflict. When they go back to their welfare, they are
as we were demonstrating, I was one of the people who were demonstrating on that day. I saw police officers from 8 o'clock, Honorable Speaker, up to evening, running around protesters without even water, without even milk, without even anything to support themselves. And so that is why I'm saying, Honorable Speaker, that as we establish, Honorable Speaker, that as we establish police posts, it is good because Kenyans need the services of police officers. But the government must go to give the requisite provisions that go with the establishment of the police post. Honorable Speaker, I support this noble statement.
Next statement, Senator Samson Chirange. That statement is deferred. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order number 57-1. I rise pursuant to Standing Order number 57-1 to present a statement of the business of the Senate for the week commencing Tuesday, the 28th of March, 2023. Mr. Speaker, sir, there are 19 bills which are before the Senate for consideration at the second reading stage. 10 of these bills are scheduled in today's order paper. 4 were read a first time yesterday and are committed to the respective standing committees pursuant to Standing Order number 145-1. The remaining 5 bills will be scheduled in the order paper for second reading upon the conclusion of the 30-day period for committees to report on bills. One other bill is listed in the order paper at number 20 at the committee and is at the committee of the whole stage. Mr. Speaker, it's important for chairpersons of committee to note the revised statutory time as per our standing orders, the time period which committees have to consider bills once they've been read a first time in this House. We are seeing a trend that is cropping in, Mr. Speaker, where after the 30-day period, committees begin to request the House to either extend time or give them additional few days to consider the business that is before them. It is too early in our parliamentary calendar, Mr. Speaker, to encourage such practices. I'd wish to request your good officers that you stick and be firm. Once the 30-day period lapses, let us proceed and debate the bill. In any case, Mr. Speaker, there is nothing in our standing orders that bars debate on second reading on any particular bill on absence of a report of the committee. Mr. Speaker, in fact, I have argued before on this floor that this issue of the committee report and second reading is a chicken and egg situation, such that many are the times when members read through the committee report, then it projects their thinking to a particular direction. Yet, if we want to hear the unadulterated opinion of members on what they plainly think about a particular issue, then that is a time that the committee needs to sit down and listen to the debate, take into consideration the views of the members, and perhaps include them actually in their final findings when they present a report to this House that will guide us when you're going to third reading. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, I request that we stick to the statutory 30-day period that is provided by our standing orders. As I have enumerated, Mr. Speaker, our legislative agenda is beginning to get heavy. It will be necessary for the Senate to expeditiously conclude on these bills within the second session. I therefore urge the respective movers to be available in the Senate whenever these bills are scheduled in the order paper. I also urge respective standing committees.
A moment, Majority Leader. What is your point of order, Senator? Okay.
Mr. Speaker, I didn't want to interrupt the Majority Leader when he's giving his statement for the upcoming week. But I got concerned with one statement, whereby if in this House we are to debate bills in the second reading without considering the committee reports, that committee report normally enrich the debate because the law requires us, I think it's Article 118 of the Constitution, to consider public participation. So, Mr. Speaker, I would like to beseech the majority leader that the 30 days, I'm happy with the 30 days, and I think we should stick to the 30 days. But in the event that we are debating a bill without taking into consideration what the citizens who we are required to take their views into consideration, if we debate that bill without their input, we will actually be bypassing and also violating the Constitution. So, Mr. Speaker, I didn't really want to disrupt his line of thoughts, but I want him to reconsider that thought because the second reading is very important. Normally, the third reading, during the third reading, we don't even have time to do anything.
What is out of order with what the majority leader?
My concern, Mr. Speaker, is that
not
the
your
majority
concern.
leader. What is out
Not
of order?
your concern.
What is out of order, Mr. Speaker?
Proceed.
Is if this House adopts a process, or rather a culture of debating bills in the second reading without considering the committee report, we will be violating Article 118 of the Constitution. That is the issue in terms of public participation.
Indeed, if that is your persuasion, Senator Ledama, then you may have to move to amend the standing orders, because the standing orders are very clear that once committed to the committee has 30 days within which to do all that you're talking about, public participation and any other acts that ought to be done prior to tabling the report. So failure of the committee then cannot be visited upon the House. And the standing orders are very clear that upon the expiry of that period, the House can proceed. So it's incumbent upon the committee that whose bill has been committed to make sure that you act within the 30 days window. I'll give you an example that I had the other day from the chair of agriculture. A letter was written to me seeking my approval to extend the 30 days period. I dug through our standing orders and I did not find anywhere where the Speaker has powers to extend the 30-day period. So I wouldn't want to exercise a power that I don't have. And if you read this section following the standing order that gives the 30 days, clearly after the 30 days, the House can proceed the first reading. So if you want to neaten out as per your concern, then it's a matter that must be either through amendment of the standing orders, but as the standing orders stand now, after the expiry of the 30 days, the House can proceed. So the committee has only those 30 days to do its work. Those are our standing orders, and as a chair, I have no powers whatsoever to extend that period. It is a question that we grappled with at the SBC. It is a question that I grappled with when I was served with that particular letter, and it is our position. That is the position provided for on our standing orders. Proceed, ML.
Mr. Speaker, you know, my colleague needs to read standing order number 148 too. But I'm concerned about something, Mr. Speaker, that you're treading into a dangerous ground, where when I'm presenting my statements, if somebody, maybe for one reason or the other, you don't agree or disagree, then you open it up for debate, then I will never be able to do my statement, Mr. Speaker. So I seek your protection, because what Senator Ledam was raising is a point of debate, not a point of order. Anyway, I proceed, Mr. Speaker. Number 4, Mr. Speaker, sir, with respect to petitions, the Senate has received 10 petitions that have been committed to the respective standing committees pursuant to Standing Order number 238-1. I urge committee chairpersons to spearhead the timely processing of the petitions within 60-day period as per the provisions of Standing Order number 238-2. As it is now, 2 petitions are already due for reporting by the Standing Committee on Roads and Transportation and the Standing Committee on Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries, respectively. 5, statements are increasingly being sought pursuant to Standing Order number 53 and other issues pursuant to Standing Order number 52. I urge standing committees to expeditiously consider the statements and report back to the House. Mr. Speaker, sir, in conclusion, on Tuesday the 28th of March 2023, the Senate Business Committee will consider and approve business for the day. This will contain business that will not be concluded from today's order paper and any other business scheduled by the Senate Business Committee. The order paper for Wednesday 29th March 2023 and for Thursday 30th March 2023 will contain business that will not be concluded on Tuesday 28th March 2023 and on Wednesday 29th March 2023 respectively. The Senate Business Committee will also schedule any other business as well as petitions and statements pursuant to standing orders. I end by highlighting that pursuant to the calendar of the Senate approved on the 16th of February 2023, the Senate will proceed on a short recess at the rise of the House on Thursday, the 30th of March, that is next week Thursday. It is therefore imperative that bills and motions be prioritized during a plenary sitting. I thank you and hereby lay the statement on the table of the Senate. Thank you.
Honorable Senators, before we move to the next order, I have 2 communications to make. Honorable Senators, I would like to acknowledge the presence in the Speaker's Gallery this afternoon, Mr. Wisley Abuya, a Hansard reporter from the County Assembly of Wasinigishu, who is on a 1-week benchmarking visit on Hansard Audiovisual Solution and the Senate. Honorable Senators, I request him to stand to be acknowledged. Here he is, in the Senate tradition. On behalf of the Senate and on my own behalf, I extend a warm welcome and wish him a fruitful visit. Again, Honorable Senators, I would like to acknowledge the presence in the public gallery this afternoon, a visiting delegation from Kondabileti High School in Elgeyo Marakwet County. The delegation comprises 4 teachers and 47 pupils who are in the Senate for a 1-day study tour. Honorable Senators, in our usual tradition of receiving and welcoming visitors to Parliament, I extend a warm welcome to them, and on behalf of the Senate and on my own behalf, wish them a fruitful visit. I will allow Senator Kisang to give very short welcoming remarks to both delegations.
Honorable Speaker, I wish to welcome the 2 delegations to Senate chambers, Senate today. Kondabileti Secondary School is in Marakwet West of Elgeyo Marakwet County, and this is a young school that was started in 2007 when the first time I sought to be a member of Parliament, but I didn't succeed. Then eventually 2013, 2017, I served that constituency for 2 terms as the Member of Parliament, and we used a lot of good resources from CDF Marakwet West to put up the school, infrastructure, put up houses for the teachers, and even bought a bus. So I want to welcome them for the study. This is Senate of Kenya, and your former MP was promoted from being a member of Parliament to come to this honorable house. This is a Harper House. This is where you have very mature MPs with debaters here to ensure that we do representation, we do oversight, and the resources that we pass to the county, especially your county of Elgeyo Marakwet County, we ensure that the governor and his executive give you value for money. So the 2 delegations, welcome to the Senate of Kenya. I'll see you later on outside.
Next order, Clerk.
Order number 8, the Division of Revenue Bill, National Assembly Bills number 9 of 2023, first reading. A bill for an act of parliament to provide for the equitable division of revenue raised nationally between the national and county governments in 2023-24 financial year and for connected purposes.
Next order.
Order number 9, motion, adoption of the 5th report of the Procedural and Rules Committee on the review of the standing orders of the Senate.
Honorable Senators, we will resume debate, which was interrupted yesterday, Wednesday, 22nd March 2023. At that juncture, the Honorable Senator Gloria was actually on her feet contributing to this motion. She had a balance of 4 minutes. I'm not seeing her in the House, and therefore I will call upon senators wishing to contribute to continue contributing. Senator Methu.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for according me this opportunity to comment on this motion. Mr. Speaker, I first would want to confirm that I rise to support. And maybe before I make my contribution, I would want to, because I have not had an opportunity to congratulate our two brothers who rose to the positions of leadership, Senator Sifuna and Senator Orekina. Mr. Speaker, as I rise to support this motion, just this afternoon, Mr. Speaker, we have had very many statements from different senators on very different issues. And they are being committed to different committees of the House. We have just gotten a statement from the Senator for Kirinyaga on the establishment of police stations, police posts, and police patrol bases in Kirinyaga. And just about 2 weeks ago, Mr. Speaker, the Senator for Kirinyaga was arrested for holding demonstrations in Kiamanyeki for a very unfortunate death of two brothers who were brutally killed, Mr. Speaker, whose burial is on this Saturday. Mr. Speaker, the reason why I want to support this motion, why I believe that Cabinet Secretaries should get a platform and should get a way of coming to answer questions, Mr. Speaker, is that this question that has been raised by Senator for Kirinyaga, and indeed many other senators who raised statements in this House, if the Cabinet Secretary for Interior had an opportunity to come to this House, Mr. Speaker, he would be, number one, the right person with all the requisite information, Mr. Speaker, that the Senator for Kirinyaga and indeed all the other senators who seek statements in this statement in this House would want. Mr. Speaker, I was surprised yesterday when our colleagues from the opposition were opposing what, in my view, has been their push through and through. When they seek statements and they ask that I want answers from the Cabinet Secretary for this ministry, Cabinet Secretary for this ministry, Cabinet Secretary for this ministry, Mr. Speaker, like if we had an opportunity with the Senator for Kiambu now, would be very glad to hear from the Minister for Agriculture, Mithika Lintuli, on why fertilizer has not been distributed to our counties in Nyandarua and Kiambu when it is planting season, Mr. Speaker. Instead of I raising a statement, then it will go to the Committee on Agriculture, then they will have to go again to the PS and the CS. I would be very glad to get the answers directly from the Cabinet Secretary on why fertilizer has not been distributed to Nyandarua County. Some of the issues that we require, Mr. Speaker, they require very urgent and immediate answers. Sometimes, Mr. Speaker, there are questions that are being asked in this House about a campaign that was ongoing
of a very sad state of the circumstances under which a young man, Geoffrey Mwadhi, met his unfortunate demise. Mr. Speaker, if the Cabinet Secretary was able to come here, we do not have the luxury of time of asking the Committee on Security led by Senator Cheptumo to go again, look for the Inspector General, look for the DCI, look for the Cabinet Secretary. Mr. Speaker, I am very convinced that we shall have cured very many issues. And I speak this, Mr. Speaker, as a chairman of a committee that deals with 5 Cabinet Secretaries and a chairman that gets statements for 5 or 6 different state departments that I'm supposed to give answers, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, I support this motion. I believe, and I'm a firm believer, and I'm very happy that His Excellency the President, Dr. William Ruto, has followed through what he promised when he appeared before Parliament, when he was making his inaugural address, when he was addressing Parliament for the first time, Mr. Speaker. He promised that to ensure that we are able to play our oversight role on the executive, he will ensure, and we should be able to give a mechanism to have his Cabinet Secretaries come to Parliament so that they can be able to answer questions from members of Parliament, because Article 1 of the Constitution, Mr. Speaker, sir, says that sovereign power belongs to the people. They can exercise it directly or through their elected representatives. We are the elected representatives, Mr. Speaker. So when we have been given an opportunity to be asking questions directly from the executive, to be asking questions directly from the Cabinet Secretaries, then we should be able to ensure that we build that framework and have standing orders that will be to support that kind of framework. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me an opportunity to contribute. Finally, Mr. Speaker, as I was walking in this afternoon, I have been greatly embarrassed by Senator Sifuna, and I think it is important that I mention this, Mr. Speaker, because they keep telling us that power is transient and many things. So when we were leaving KICC, because my office and his office and I didn't have a car, he was inviting me to drive in his government vehicle, and he was telling me that these are the things that you are opposing, and you are now benefiting from them. So I want to tell you, Senator Sifuna, the same way I opposed your rising to become the Deputy Minority Whip, and I have benefited from riding in your car, is the same way you shall benefit from Cabinet Secretaries coming to this House when you get an opportunity to be asking those questions. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Wambua.
I thank you, the Speaker. The Speaker, from the onset and for the record, I want it to be recorded that, Mr. Speaker, I am opposed to this motion. You oppose and then the mic goes off. Mr. Speaker, I'm not opposed to this motion just for the purposes of opposing the motion. The Speaker, I want the majority leader to listen to this. It is important that he listens to this. It is true, Mr. Speaker, that all of us in this House and in the National Assembly, we would want Cabinet Secretaries to appear before us so that we can interrogate and ask questions that will be lost in translation if they are answered through committees. We all want that. It will make the work of representation a lot more easier. The Speaker, what we are opposed to and what I'm opposed to is the route that we use to get the Cabinet Secretaries to appear before the Senate. The Speaker, the principle of separation of powers among the 3 arms of government in this country is well established. That separation, Mr. Speaker, that principle extends beyond the academic categorization of the three arms, the executive, the judiciary, and the legislature. That separation finds meaning, Mr. Speaker, in the execution of the roles of those arms of government. Much as, Mr. Speaker, we all agree that these three arms of government need to complement each other in the execution of their roles for better service delivery to our people, we must be structured in the way that we create a platform for that complementary role to be played. Mr. Speaker, this constitution, Kenyans gave themselves a presidential system of government. We had the option of going to a parliamentary system or a hybrid system. But under Constitution 2010, the Kenyans agreed that the way to go would be a presidential system of government where the executive sits outside parliament. That's a conscious decision that we took as a nation. The Speaker, the beauty of our Constitution is that it does not put us in a straitjacket. It doesn't. It provides options and ways through which we can change the Constitution and make provisions, especially on matters of governance. The Speaker, if there is a change or a shift in thinking as to what system of governance would best serve this country, if we want to go to parliamentary system or we want to go to a hybrid system, the Speaker, the Constitution has provisions on how we can do that. Mr. Speaker, what I am very and actually grossly opposed to is a situation, Mr. Speaker, where we want to use standing orders of the Senate to change the Constitution of Kenya. Mr. Speaker, I have read through this report. This report, Mr. Speaker, invites senators who took all the office to defend the Constitution, the Speaker, to change the constitutional provisions on our system of government through an amendment to a standing order. The Speaker, my submission is that yes, it will be important for cabinet secretaries to appear before Senate, but let us use the right route to get them to the Senate. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Mungatana.
Mr. Speaker, I thank you for giving me the opportunity to also add my thinking. Mr. Speaker, I was listening to the Honorable Senator Wambua, who is my neighbor. And Mr. Speaker, I respect the thinking behind his submissions. And that's why I want also him to listen to me carefully. Mr. Speaker, this Constitution has provided a very clear way in which it is supposed to be interpreted. The Constitution does not invite each and every one of us to interpret it in the manner that we want. This Constitution has given a self-interpretation mechanism. And I wanted my honorable colleague to hear me out. And I want, probably if he has his Constitution nearby, and I know he has, to read with me. And I know this one, the Honorable Sifuna must have memorized it, and also the Speaker, because we belong to the same breed. But Article of the Constitution 259, construction of the Constitution. In construing constitution, in interpreting this constitution, we have to interpret the constitution in 4 manners: A, B, C, and D. A, that it
Considering the mood of the House, would I be in order to request you, Madam Speaker, to let the mover of the motion to reply? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable members, I would like to establish that whether it is the mood of the House that I call upon the mover to reply. So I put the question, will as many as of that opinion say aye? Will as many as of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. So then I call upon the mover to reply.
Madam Speaker, I reply.
Thank you very much. Honorable members, I therefore put the question that in furtherance of the resolutions of the House of 24th November 2022, on the establishment of a joint parliamentary ad hoc committee on a proposal to amend the Constitution to entrench certain specialized funds, NGCDF, Senate Oversight Fund, and NGAF. This House therefore resolves to extend the timelines of the consideration of the proposal by a period of 90 days from Tuesday, 11th April 2022. Many as of that opinion say aye. Will as many as of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Next order.
Order number 9, procedural motion, extension of period of consideration of a nominee for appointment to a public office.
Chairperson. Chairperson, Departmental Committee on Social Protection. You may proceed, Honorable Alice.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I rise to move a motion that pursuant to the provision of Section 13 of the Public Appointment Parliamentary Approval Act